Hello, and welcome to Mysteries, Monsters, and Mayhem.
This is the podcast about murders and so much more. We will talk about anything strange, anything that goes bump in the night, and pretty much anything that amuses us.
And on that note, we need to mention that this podcast is not safe for work or delicate ears, so do be discerning who you listen to it with.
We also want to let you know that you can find us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram, so look for us there.
I am Shannon Lawrence. I am a writer, mom, wife, student, procrastinator, and you can find me at thewarriormuse.com.
My name is MB Partlow. I am a writer, an avid reader, an organizer extraordinaire, a mom to kids, cats, and a dog, and I call bullshit when I see it.
Hello, welcome to the podcast today.
Hello.
Did you work today before you came over
I did.
Because you're all dressed up and fancy and made up.
I am.
Pretty.
I put makeup on. I drew on eyebrows just for you.
Oh, yay.
I did that a couple
I miss those sometimes. I don't know.
Well, so anybody listening who hasn't met me, I'm a redhead, and I'm very, okay, that's my line, and I'm sticking with it. It's a little enhanced these days, but I have very light eyelashes and eyebrows, and they're very hard to see. So sometimes I like to draw them on. And Nikki came home. Thing 2 came home one day, and she looked at me, and she goes, "Huh, you put on eyebrows today?"
Oh, jeez.
I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't do a very good job," and she's like, "Well, but I would offer you a couple of suggestions, maybe." So I did go out and this isn't the fancy new stuff. I did get fancy new stuff to draw eyebrows on with.
See, and I'm a brunette.
You have eyebrows.
And I have eyebrows, so I've never had to fill them in or anything like that.
With a lovely shape.
I may have to eventually. I don't know. I did ask my hairdresser and friend. I was like, are my eyebrows going to go white? Because I have a significant amount of white hair. I started going white in high school. So I was like, does that go white? Because let me tell you,
yes.
Other places are going white.
Yes.
I
will just say yes.
And she was like, you know what? Maybe not. And I'm all, well, that'll look weird.
Do you remember the TV show Bonanza?
Yeah.
Remember Lorne Greene? He had white hair and his eyebrows were coal black.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that was natural or...
That's the thing. Like, we wouldn't know, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure Steve Martin has eyebrows. Right? Leslie Nielsen... I mean, I think they have eyebrows, but who knows? Because they're actors. If somebody's filling them in,
that's true. I actually have a lot of eyebrow because nobody can see them, so I never plucked them.
Right.
But I just color over some of them. They're much wider than I color. God, it would look like I had fucking caterpillars on my forehead.
I don't shape mine again, and probably eventually I'll have to.
You have to shape yours?
No.
Holy shit! You have gorgeous eyebrows.
Oh, thank you.
Next week on Beauty Talk.
Today is Beauty Talk. Here we go. I get random strays at this age, and then I pluck it. Like, why is this eyebrow at the top of my forehead? Okay, that's a slight exaggeration, but I'm like, nope.
It's like when you get that one hair that grows out of your chin. So for me, I get one, and it's fire engine red, so it looks black against my skin, and you go to bed at night, it's not there. You get up in the morning, it's like 3 inches long and waving.
For real. Mine is my hair isn't even pitch black. I have one pitch black and I'm like, motherfucker, where did you cut? And it does. It just appears.
Yeah.
And it's the length of my head hair. That'd be terrible.
My theory is that, because of course, a lot of women, as they get older, they start using different formulas of moisturizer, and they use the anti-aging stuff or the anti-wrinkle stuff. I think the anti-wrinkle stuff has hair growth hormones. And that's why when you start using the stuff for wrinkles, you get chin hairs. But big pharma. Big beauty.
I don't want to ruin your theory, but I don't use anti-aging lotion, and I still have random chin hair that has to be pulled out.
When have I ever let facts get in my way?
And it could be different for everyone.
Well,
I could grow a random cheek hair when I start using anti-aging lotion. We don't know. An earlobe hair or something.
I had a woman yell at me once. It was way back when I was doing Paper Jeff. And she looked at me one day and she goes, I have to ask you something. She was kind of an abrupt person. And I said, okay. And she said, what do you use on your face? And I said, what do you mean? She said, what do you wash your face with? And I went, Noxzema. And she's like, fuck you. It's like, I'm sorry.
Wow.
She's like, your skin looks great. And you just put fucking Noxzema on it. I'm like, yes. I was like, why do I feel like I need to apologize?
Right? Like, what? Maybe you're doing too much to your face, other woman, and that's your problem.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I literally wash with water. And, and then have this little, what is it? It's like Garnier lotion or something.
Yeah.
Yay. Hey, we went to La Bella Vita. Last night for dinner.
Is that the one off of Garden of the Gods?
Yeah.
Right there on the corner? Yeah. How was it? I went there a million years ago in its last incarnation.
Yeah. I've been there I don't know if it's last incarnation or if it's just been through 20 Italian restaurants. I went there on a date when I was 17 to whatever that previous iteration was. Anyway, So we went. It's because it popped up in a food group and I was like, I'm going to go look at their menu because this is what I do. I go look at the menus of places and then I'm like, okay, I would like to go there. And so I look it up and on the front page, the dude is from Italy who owns it. And he is a master chef. He went through school and all this. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I want some real Italian. So we went with a neighbor who's moving out of town. So
how was it?
It was really good. I mean, I did salmon, so I didn't even do pasta, but everybody else did pasta.
Nice.
It smelled really yummy. Even the spinach was good. Which means there was a shit ton of butter and salt in it, right? Yeah. But it was good too. Everything was flavorful, and there were rosemary potatoes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Fancy.
And we didn't get dessert because we had boozy donuts from Happy Hour Donuts.
You got some?
We did.
How were they?
So far, I've had a pumpkin spice one and a butterbeer one, and the butterbeer one was better.
Oh.
But there's a lemon raspberry for me. See, the spouse did not get me any chocolate ones.
What is wrong with him?
I know. I was like, what? And he's like, well, I didn't think you'd like this one. He shows it to me. I'm like, I want that one. And he's running through thinking, he was like, or it was this one. And I'm like, yep, I need that. And he's like, okay, well, next time. So you could taste the alcohol, but it didn't overwhelm the donut.
Huh.
And it's not obviously baked in the donut. It's in the
drizzle
icing. But yeah, they deliver it to your house. You order online because they don't have a storefront.
That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Hello, bring me boozy
And they
donuts.
had normal ones, so we were able to get normal donuts for the kids with no booze.
Ah, I didn't know they had normal ones.
I didn't either. Jeff discovered it. So I posted about them the other day, just shared it for my foodie group, and Jeff was like, basically, hold my beer,
I did. I looked them up after you posted that.
So he ordered some that night.
Nice.
And they got here last night. So, yeah, I want to taste the chocolatey ones, but...
Well, yeah.
Yeah. They have a hazelnut one. They have a mocha one. I was like, I want that one. And he's like, but you don't drink coffee. I'm like, but I like mocha things. I like chocolate coffee flavored dessert.
No. I don't want coffee in anything.
No.
Don't want it in my candles, my lotions, my desserts.
I don't know. Beverages. Doesn't it tighten the skin because of the caffeine?
It might.
So did you eat anywhere different lately?
My mind just went blank. No, but I did taste some sushi. There's a place on Austin Bluffs that you can do drive-through sushi. It's next to Falu, and I got to taste a piece of it, and it was really good. So I'm thinking I want to go there for sushi sometime soon.
Okay.
But other than that, I'm like...
I saw this place, somebody in the foodies group posted their food at a restaurant and looked, it was sushi and it was so fucking pretty.
The flower.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in that group now.
Okay. Yeah. I was looking at it. I was going to invite you and I was like, oh, she's already there.
I did go to the public house, the new public house. That was really good.
They're supposed to have good burgers too, like the best in the city or something.
I had a chicken sandwich, I think. Yeah, I had the dill chicken, the dill pickle chicken. Whatever. So that was really good. We had fresh made chicharrones.
Oh.
And when they come to your table, pork rinds, I was like, I didn't know people made them fresh. I've only ever seen them in a bag. So they fry them to order when you order them, and when they come to the table, they're popping. They're making all this noise. They're hissing and popping, and it was like we were all like, Ooh. And we went with Sharon and Mike.
Okay.
And Sharon was like, you guys order what you want. I'm not going to eat any. And then she's like, damn, these are good.
Of course. So Sharon was that person that they make memes about, or like, here's the special menu for men who are here for the, my girlfriend or wife isn't going to eat anything, so I'd like extra fries, please.
I will say she is not that person, but she did not think she would like them. That's why she was all, you guys could get the spicy ones if you want. And I'm like, no, we'll get the regular ones. And
I had them at a gastropub once, but I don't remember them doing the snap crackle, so they must have brought them out after they'd sat there for a bit.
That could be.
Which is sad.
And their potatoes, their little potato wedges, are the bomb. French fries, I can take them or leave them, but these were really good. So, I asked about the coleslaw because it has a funny name. It's like, it's not Texas slaw or Cajun slaw. It's something slaw. And I said, what's that? And the waitress was like, I don't know. We don't officially open until, because we were there a few days before the official opening. And I said, well, can you find out if it's sweet? Because if it's not sweet, I want to try it. She goes, okay. And if it is sweet, I said, then I'll just have the potatoes. And that's what she brought me. So I don't know if she said, fuck it, and just gave me the potatoes anyway. Or
probably sweet.
But now I got to try it.
Because I like a sweet coleslaw, and you do not like a sweet coleslaw.
It might be like cowboy slaw.
I did grow up in Oregon, and we had pineapple in the coleslaw there.
My mother used to try to slip pineapple in the coleslaw, and I was like, don't.
We had a lot of pineapple, so I don't know if it's like because there's Hawaii way over here, but it's the closest to Oregon because we had a lot of like pineapple pizza wasn't. I don't think they look down on pineapple pizza in Oregon like they do in, say, Colorado.
I'm like, does pineapple belong on pizza? I said, if it's your pizza, whatever you like, you can put cigarette butts on it if you want, if you're going to eat it. If you want me to eat it, why then, yes, sometimes I do like pineapple.
I find it bizarre that that's where people take a hard line. It's like barbecue, pineapple on pizza. And I'm like, so don't order it. It's not like people usually slip that out like pepperoni.
Yes, I like dill pickles on my pizza.
Right, and that.
People think that's weird, and I'm okay with it.
Just disturbs my brain. But you can have it. My brain goes,
I saw it and I ordered it, and it was like a combination. It was like sausage and pepperoni and mushrooms and onions and peppers, because that's the kind of pizza I like. And I said, there was I can't remember what it was. I said, hey, can you put pickles on that? The waiter was like, certainly.
Sweetenly.
I was like, God damn, this is good.
So my daughter would probably love it. We went to, it's called Crave, and it's hot dogs, but they have brats and they have sausage too.
I haven't been there yet.
Well, we went there. We were going to go there today, which is why my schedule was a certain way. No, it's not. But we didn't get our HelloFresh order. Something happened.
Oh. And
so Tuesday, I was like, well, we're going out for dinner tonight because I'm doing a grocery shopping list. I'll pick it up tomorrow and then I can feed you people. But yeah, so we went there and it was $2 Tuesday. And
what?
It was super cheap to eat there. And then I went to Rizzuto's ice cream afterwards for the first time ever. I've heard about them because they have giant. They're famous for giant, tall, soft serve. Mm-hmm. But then they actually had gelato and regular ice cream too. And so I went there for the soft serve, but I ended up getting ice cream.
Well, yeah, because soft serve is.
I like soft serve.
It's okay.
But I have to be in the mood for it. Well, I love it if I'm in the mood for it.
But if I have a choice of having real ice cream or gelato instead of soft serve, I'm pretty much always going to.
Well, because they had something called the Rizzuto Special or something like that. And it was vanilla ice cream, which is the only problem I had with it. I actually don't like vanilla ice cream versus I would rather chocolate. I don't like it. Okay. There's a vanilla bean that I like, but I don't like normal vanilla. So it was vanilla ice cream with fudge, chocolate chip cookie dough, and brownie batter bits in it. And I was like, yes.
That sounds kind of tasty.
It's decadent. Now, if they would put chocolate ice cream in there, I would get it again.
So what have you been watching lately?
So the new season of Sex Education dropped on Netflix. So I watched that. It was pretty freaking intense. So it's a school, and Gillian Anderson plays the mother of the main character, and she's a sex therapist. So they're very open about sex. And somehow in school, this is what this series is based around. He ends up kind of getting dragged into providing sex therapy basically to kids at school, advice for stuff. And I'm having this problem with my boyfriend or, and so somehow he becomes that go-to person with this other girl who's just not shy about it, feels everybody should be comfortable talking about sex. So it's like, I don't know, it's season 3 or 4. Wow. So anyway, they get a new head mistress at their school. It's and the shit hits the fan because she's awful. She's an awful person. And boy, did they get her back. And I can't say anything more about that because it would be a big spoiler, but it was one of the most satisfying.
Oh, that's another one of the
episodes of a show ever.
The series. I'm like, yeah, I got to watch that.
Yeah.
I have this whole fucking long list of stuff I got to watch.
I know. Yeah. But I have a funny story. So we closed up our cabin, but my husband has been working to get our tractor. Mm-hmm. Basically, it was stuck at the bottom of the hill for various reasons. Those reasons being last year we were a week too late to get it up to our cabin. So the semi that we had paid to bring our tractor that we had bought, I had to just abandon it at the bottom of this hill. So it's only 5 miles from our cabin, but we're talking 5 miles of, you've been there, rugged.
Straight up.
Yeah, straight up. We figured it out last night, 8,000 feet elevation is where that base of the hill is to 11,010 at the cabin. So in the top of our property is 11,130 according to GPS coordinates. We looked it up because we were talking about it. So anyway, it sat there all last winter and into summer. Then Jeff got there and things had eaten things. And let me tell you, the animals there, they will build a nest in your engine within 1 day. So we had to start leaving the hood open and discouraging them from thinking it is a safe place to build nests. So there were nests in our truck that was up there. The whole engine was a nest. Anyway.
Wow.
So yeah, things got chewed on, so he kept having to fix it and the people that were trying to help him. So finally there's this guy and his name is Kenny and he lives up there year round because he custom builds his own trucks. So they can get up through the deep, 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 deep snow and get to his house. So anyway, he agreed to pull it. Now, his truck, he said, was rated for slightly less than the tonnage of this giant tractor, but he was like, I'm game. So finally, Jeff gets this all arranged, and it took them all day, one day. Wow. They jackknifed at one point. He took video footage of it and put it on YouTube, but because he was driving behind as this guy's lugging the tractor up. Oh. And so it jackknifed and almost started to roll down this hill. And had it gone, it would have taken Kenny too, right? God. So he's pulling it up and he just can't get anywhere, but he's able to keep it in place. Then he called a friend. And that friend had the first truck he'd ever built that he sold it to this guy and built his smaller one. Wow. So that friend then hooked up to the front of him and together they towed the tractor out. And then Jeff drove it for a couple miles and, all sorts of, it was an adventure. God. So anyway, here's a funny story though and why I thought of this. So this couple at some point during all this, it's just Jeff up there and they drive up and they're on a 2-person quad with like a 6-pack of beer or something. Because as they do. The guys who were towing Jeffrey, they also had beer the whole time. It's that world. It's mountain people. So anyway, they're happy drunk already. Mm. And they're driving around the quads because there's trails you can go on. And they're going and looking at the aspens because the aspens are golden. So they pull over and the woman is all, who are you? She's like, I just want you to know, I wrote down your license plate. She's like, because we've been watching this show called Wild Colorado. So by the way, I've been watching it too. It's on Hulu and it's about a crime it's a man who pushed his wife off of a cliff in Estes Park, right? I'd heard about it when it happened. And, he made it look like an accident, but they figured it out. So anyway, they've been watching it and she's like, we're not going to have any wives pushed off mountains up here. And Jeff's like, well, it's okay. I didn't bring my wife today. So then they go just driving off. So that was all very entertaining.
Nice.
That's a random
has
story.
Your back. Some strange.
That's right. He can't kill me. Honestly, betwixt the two of us, if anybody's going to kill the other one and make it look like an accident, it's probably not him. But the strangers don't know that.
That's true. That is through.
I totally busted us right there from what we were talking about, but I thought of it and I was like, I need to share.
I love that.
The mountain people. I've written
that.
down your license plate. I write down all the license plates I don't know around here.
That sounds so much like something my mom would have done.
Yeah.
I've written down their license plate number, and what are you going to do with it, Mom? But no, you don't. You just go, okay, that sounds reasonable.
It's all right.
It's like when she told me one day, well, are the naked men back at the bridge? And I was like,
what?
I was like, I don't know if you've had a stroke or I've missed something somewhere. Well, what happened was there were you practically spitting distance from the house I grew up in. There's a bridge and there's rocks, and we used to go down there and swim. That was one of the swimming holes. Well, people will come up to kayak and get in the river there. And when it's not fabulous weather, they put on wetsuits. Well, apparently they'll park their car by the side of the road, and if they don't see anybody, they'll just strip down and put their wetsuits on.
Right. They do that at the beach, if you live near the beach.
And I was like, there have been naked men frolicking about, and you waited to tell me? What is... No, I need to be alerted of these things.
My grandma had a handyman that she would have come over, and she'd have all her friends come over and make them drinks, and they'd sit on the porch or whatever and watch him work. She'd talk to me, be like, he's so pretty, Shannon. He's so pretty.
I will be that old lady.
All right.
You know I will.
You invite me over.
I will invite you over.
I just always thought it was so funny. Because she and her mom, my great-grandma, they were just randy as fuck, like all the way to the end. My great-grandma would talk. I was like 10 the last time I visited her, I think. She's like, look at that guy over there. I'm like, well, he's 70, so I'm not interested, but okay. You go, Grandma. You, more power to you.
Yep. Keep on keeping on.
Gotta love older ladies.
Yep.
They're just done being...
They're done being polite.
That's right.
They're done being constrained. They're just going to say what they think. Because I remember, I occasionally, when my mom was still alive, if I was home and it was a Sunday, if she asked me, I would go to church with her. It didn't burst into flames, so we were, I figured it was a good day. Okay, the church didn't fall on my head. So we were in there once, and she turns around to the woman sitting behind us and says, I can't remember if she was too hot or too cold, but she turns around. What is the thermostat set at? It's very chilly in here. I don't know, Barb. Would you please go fix that? And I looked at Joe afterward and I said, I know that as women get older, they're supposed to be able to speak their minds more. And I was like, I don't see that I have any place to go from where I am right now.
That's the problem, is because as a teenager, I spoke my mind.
Right? So what? I'm going to have to learn a new language or something.
Well, I will say, though, that after I first had kids, then I felt like I needed to muffle myself more. And so then I was, and I'm getting back now in my 40s at being like, nah.
I'm like, so in my 80s, I can't even imagine what I'm going to be saying. Besides, hold my beer.
Good luck to everybody.
Hold my beer never gets old.
It doesn't. That's why every time I post something like could Halloween decorations or something, my husband, hold my beer.
Yes.
You don't even drink.
Have some up. You have some Halloween decorations.
Oh yeah, it's just really basic though. We don't have our usual full
You do not.
yard. But that's because we spent the beginning of this month at I have a rule for holidays, and it sticks even for my holiday. You cannot decorate until October 1st for Halloween. Can't do whatever we don't really decorate for it, but for Thanksgiving till November 1st, and
no Christmas.
December 1st is first for Christmas. So, yeah.
The shop where I work, we can't decorate for Halloween until after the boss's birthday, which is September 25th.
Okay.
So that works. I'm like, that's
I will say I've loosened the Christmas rule because the husband usually has the day after Thanksgiving off. And I'm like, you know what? This is when you have time to do it. So you may do it after Thanksgiving.
That is usually when Joe puts the lights up on the outside of the house. The tree does not go up then, but...
No, but the outside stuff goes up. The tree goes up like a week before Christmas, the way it works. Because I'm always like, I don't want to do it. I have to clean it up and we have to unpack everything and repack it.
Yep.
This is why I don't decorate for holidays inside.
Yep.
I really don't. I've had some Indian corn sitting over here on my my hutch since last year because it's the first time I ever bought it. And I was like, I love it. And it's just been sitting there since last year.
Well, it looks fucking decorative all year round.
Sorry. Well, I'm like, I don't know where to put this away that won't ruin it. So it's just going to sit out. Are you just supposed to buy some every year? It holds. It looks exactly the same as it did last year. I'm going to throw that away. No.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I guess we.
But speaking of Halloween, I wanted to tell you the other night I watched Scream 2.
Oh, yay.
With no prompting. Just, I was like, I want to watch. I'm going to, you'd flip on one of the movie channels and it's like, what? Scream 2? I liked Scream 1. So I'm going to watch Scream 2.
Did you like Scream 2?
I sent you a message. It was,
right.
My God, so many cameos.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that Timothy Oliphant?
Yes.
It was.
Yes.
And I was like, look, it's Jackie.
I've seen them all, so I'm like,
and I was like, look, it's Jackie from Roseanne.
Yeah.
And all these, and I was like, is that, so I had to like get out my phone and go to IMDb so I could.
I was just all about Jerry O'Connell, so being in it, the boyfriend.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is such a doof.
He is such a doof. He was sweet, but he was a doof.
Yes.
He was pretty. As usual.
Yeah. But, and I just saw, and then after that, so I really enjoyed that movie, but then I saw the ad for the new Scream movie coming out.
Say what?
You haven't seen it?
I don't watch anything with ads, honestly, so unless somebody tells me.
It's posted on Patrick's, what is his podcast? I'm drawing a complete.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check out, and he might have even
Functional
sent it.
Nerds. It's on. Yeah, somebody posted it on there.
Okay,
that's where I saw it.
Is Neve Campbell in it?
Yes.
Okay, good, because she has
and Courtney Cox and David Arquette.
Okay. Wow. So they got the peeps. Her character, Neve Campbell's character, is so great in that. I love that series. For me, it is a love letter to horror.
How many?
While also...
Are there more? I didn't check. Is there Scream 3? 4? 5? I don't know how many.
I don't remember.
Okay, I will look this up.
I think 3. But, yeah, it's such a fun series. It's just like Cabin in the Woods. It makes fun of the tropes while showing you how much they also love it. And it was Wes Craven, so...
Yes.
Who makes his cameo in the first one as the janitor in the Fred Krueger sweater. Just in case anybody doesn't know that. I don't expect everybody to know what Wes Craven looks like.
I do, but...
Yeah. So that was fun. There's just so many fun things that he threw into those movies.
Yeah.
But I don't remember. I could swear I just watched all of them, but I think it's just 3.
And then I tried to watch, and I don't know if I was just not in the mood for it. So on your advice, I'd watch John Wick.
Yeah.
And then I watched the second John Wick.
Yeah.
I liked them both. And then I started watching the third John Wick, and I was just like, I am not here for this.
Yeah, which is...
I don't know why. I
think it's people's least favorite, but I love the scenes with the dogs.
I was just going to say, my favorite part was when they were working with the dogs. I'm like, holy shit, those are well-trained dogs.
Yeah.
And the fact that she just whistles and they basically tear the crotch out of somebody, I was like,
but they had to be trained specifically to her. So she had to train with those dogs. Because that is how they are. They weren't going to take orders from anybody else. They weren't. So she had to be intimately trained with them so that they would do that.
That was phenomenal, the work they did with the dogs.
It was amazing. But I wouldn't want to be the stunt person or whoever had to have them,
No.
Sick balls or whatever. I think there is that in there.
I don't know, because she's speaking a foreign language.
Yes, isn't it Israeli?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't know what she's speaking, but she whistles and she shouts or just calls something out, and all of a sudden, boom, there's a dog.
I don't remember why. I don't know why that popped into my head is what it is. I don't know if they say it in the movie or if it was in the trivia I read, because I love the dog thing, so I looked into it. Okay, so I watched, it's old, so I watched Jennifer's Body and Ginger Snaps, because I love those movies both so much. Snarky females. So.
And my perennial comment on Ginger Snaps.
What's that?
her mother is still wandering around looking for her.
Yeah.
She goes into the party to look for her, and that's just fucking,
There's a sequel and a
I know.
historical pre it's so weird. Prequel.
Is Ginger Snaps one word or two for the movie title?
I think it's one.
Okay.
Even though it has dual meaning. Ginger Snaps.
Yes.
But yeah, so both of them are primo. I recommend them to people. They're annual watches for me. Because Jennifer's body, she basically gets taken over by a demon and is, murdering people. And it's fun because in the previews, there's a scene where her friend is like, Megan Fox is Jennifer. Mm-hmm. You're killing people. And she responds, I'm killing boys. Something like that. So anyway, it's not in the actual movie. It was just in the previews. So that was fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
When Dirty Rotten Scoundrels came out with Steve Martin,
they
all the stuff that was in the previews was not in the movie.
Really?
Because
that's perfect.
They made a point of putting stuff in the preview that was the flavor of the movie, but because don't you hate that?
Yes.
You go to a movie and the highlight, you've already
all the
seen
funny
it.
Parts were in the preview, and it's so disappointing. If you're thinking of starting a podcast or even just starting to research it, Buzzsprout is your go-to source for information and hosting. They have tons of videos and write-ups on everything you need to know about recording and distributing a podcast, and they even provide easy ways to get analytics on how your podcast is doing. We use Buzzsprout for our podcast hosting, and through them, we've been able to connect with tons of resources and distributors. Following a link in the show notes lets Buzzsprout know we sent you, gets you a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for a paid plan, and help support our show. A win-win. Not only do they help you get started, but they also do small things to encourage you, such as awarding you badges as you hit various milestones. Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world.
We haven't even talked. Who's going first? What is yours?
I'm doing
generally?
A serial killer.
Me too. Oh! How many did yours kill?
Not that many, actually.
Oh,
mine may not
either.
even be considered a... Mine either. Oh my God.
Mine killed 3, possibly 4, but they think just 3.
Mine definitely killed 4, possibly more.
Oh. So should I go first? Because
I guess so. We'll build it up.
Light.
Yeah.
Okay, so full credit to Thing 2, who gave me the lead on this one. Because she was just like, he's so fucking weird, Mom. You got to look this up. So I'm going to talk about Charles Schmid, who was also called the Pied Piper of Tucson. So my sources are Wikipedia, Murderpedia, which had some fucking fascinating stuff on it. And the photos are unbelievable. The Arizona Attorney Magazine and History.com.
All right.
Charles was born on July 8th of 1942. Very little is known about his mother. She was unmarried. And the very next day, he was adopted by Charles and Catherine Schmid, who owned and operated the Hillcrest Nursing Home in Tucson, Arizona. So there, apparently at some point, and he was also called Smitty, so that's what I'm going to call him throughout, because I like it.
Because you can.
He was called Smitty. He reported when he was a child that his father beat him, but there's nothing backing that up, no evidence to support that. And nobody else said, yes, it was terrible. He didn't. Yeah, so he was quite the flamboyant liar. So he never met his birth mother until he was it's unclear, he was either 18 or 21 when he met her, and it did not go well. She did not want to meet him. She didn't have any interest in an ongoing relationship with him, but it seems like his adoptive parents set the meeting up.
Okay.
So he was in school. Smitty was a pip. It was funny because he got in trouble a lot, but they thought he was curious and he was smart and he could be very charming and he was very curious about things. And the teachers who said some of his teachers said the reason for his bad grades was not that he couldn't do the work or that he was, less intelligent. He just didn't care.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yep, I get that. And he didn't care about pleasing his teachers or his parents. He excelled in gymnastics, though, and led the school team to a statewide championship, but then he quit his senior year. He was 5'3", and despite the fact that he was very charismatic, really popular with women, but he had a lot of hang-ups, so he was very self-conscious about his height. So he stuffed his cowboy boots with paper and flattened cans and cardboard, which added about 3 inches to his height. I'm like,
Tom Cruise?
Tom Schmitty Cruise. He stretched his lower lip with a clothespin in an effort to resemble Elvis Presley.
Ow!
Right? I'm like, no, you either got the sneer or you don't. He was conceited about his looks. He used makeup.
Obviously.
He used a lot of makeup, which was unusual back then. He had a mole, but he darkened it and made it like a giant, like the size of a dime or a nickel beauty spot on his cheek. Sometimes he wore a metal brace on his nose to convince girls either that he was ill or that he had been in a fight. And he used makeup. Sometimes he used makeup to darken his skin. He liked to use chapstick to whiten his lips.
Whiten?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
How's that attractive?
I don't know, but he did dye his brown hair black. It's funny because there are some pictures where he's just, you're looking at him and his face is like, I don't know, it's just off.
Huh. Probably because he stretched parts of it with
clothespins.
That's right.
That would do it, I would think. So he dropped out of high school toward the end of his senior year. He'd been expelled for stealing tools from a machine shop, and he had stolen clothes from the gym locker room. And it wasn't anything that was super expensive. It wasn't like he was fencing the tools and stuff. It was mischief. He got arrested once he and a friend got arrested for causing a disturbance because one of them was driving and the other one had his arm covered with ketchup hanging out the window.
Oh,
so he had a little too much time on his hands. And so after he flunks out of high school, his life did not get particularly hard, as one would suspect. His parents put him up in a bungalow on their property. It's this little tiny bungalow. And gave him an allowance of $300 a month and gave him a new car.
Wow.
And maybe a motorcycle.
Who doesn't want that?
I'm like,
that would be
really?
Nice.
So I'm gonna
Life starter kit.
Right? So now I'm gonna back up a step. This was around 1960 when all of this was happening. The average income was $333 a month. So he's making a decent living doing nothing. The minimum wage at that time was $1 an hour. The U.S. was entering the Vietnam War. JFK was elected president. The movie Psycho premiered, and the book To Kill a Mockingbird was published. I was like, sprinkle a little ambiance in. Oh. So also this year, Antonio Banderas, Hugh Grant, and Bono were all born. Which I don't know why. The fact that it's the three of them and I don't think they have anything in common.
No.
Except for being male, being born that year. It just cracks me up. All right, so we'll go back to Smitty. So he had a serious thing for blonde teenage girls. This was when it was age appropriate, and then it continued on after it became inappropriate. If he was interested in a girl and she wasn't blonde, he would offer to dye her hair for her.
Oh.
Yeah, not like he forcibly dyed her hair.
He's like one of those people that would have been in any one of the billion profiling and crime shows who would dye their hair while he had them captive or something.
That's exactly where my mind went.
Ugh.
He was, I really misspelled that word in my notes. He was also known for torturing, can you hear the air quotes, girls by making them fall in love with him and then dropping them flat.
Okay.
That was like a hobby. He read Playboy magazines, which I'm like, at a certain point in time, didn't everyone read?
I read Playboy magazines.
Everybody read them. It's like,
they actually had. Stephen King was published in that. They always had really good. Joyce Carol Oates.
Yes.
Yeah.
He also read, and you could go, that's what they're supposed to look like. They never will. No. He also read detective magazines back then, the pulp detective magazines that glorified murder, rape, and sexual misadventures.
Oh, yeah.
Although they would say
I
that.
mean, that's...
Yeah. So in around 1963, Smitty meets Mary French, who's an 18-year-old high school dropout. And he moved her in with him and told his parents they were married. Yeah, there's so much. I really wish someone had studied that relationship between him and his adoptive parents. When they figured out finally that the two of them weren't married, they made her move out, but they gave her a job at the nursing home they owned.
You seem like nice people.
Well, Smitty convinced her to deposit her checks into his account and happily spent her money.
Yeah.
He's such a sweet guy. So, so there are these rumors. There's always these rumors going around Tucson. So in late 63, early 64, the rumor was that Smitty is either running a string of call girls or some kind of underground sex club out of his home where members have to have sex in front of others to be initiated. Now, it turns out when all of this came out, there were a lot of... Now, I don't know that he had call girls and he ran a sex club, but he did enjoy the company of teenagers.
Yeah.
And
so did John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah. And he had all these big parties at his house, at his little bungalow. So there was a lot of sex. There was sex and drugs and probably prostitution and all kinds of things going on. So when the story broke about the murders, parents were shocked to discover that their children in sleepy little Tucson had been involved.
Ugh.
Yeah, imagine that's how you find out.
I mean, it's one thing, your teens having sex. It's another if they're having, I don't know, orgies and exhibitionism. And
Yes. So May 31st of 1964, Smitty declares to Mary French and his friend John Saunders that he's going to kill Aline Rowe. This is a 15-year-old girl who has caught his eye but isn't interested in him. By all accounts, he just wanted to see what it felt like to kill someone and wanted to see if he could get away with it like he did everything else. He even said something to that effect.
Yeah.
I got away with everything else. I wanted to see if I could get away with that. So
it's sociopathic thinking, but it's...
So Mary invites Aline to a party. She actually asks her to go as John Saunders' date. And the three friends pick her up at home that night. They drive out into the desert. They send Mary back to the car. They take her down into a wash and strip her. And then Smitty tells John to rape her, and John is unable to.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, a sobbing, screaming girl.
Right. Isn't a turn on for somebody who doesn't have those issues.
Yeah. Then Smitty rapes her, then bashes her in the head with a rock. Mary French is sitting in the car listening to the radio while this is going on, but later helps gather up Aline's belongings to bury with her.
Okay. I mean, it could be because she wanted to, and it could be because they had just raped and murdered the other girl, and she was like, I will do whatever you want me to do.
Yes. Yeah, but at the same time, she's the one who lured her into the going with them. So, well, later that summer, and apparently it was one of those not very well kept secrets that Smitty had done this. Like the teenagers, there was always this rumor that he'd killed someone, and none of them told their parents. Which just, if you have teenagers, you're welcome. You'll never sleep again. So later that summer, Smitty meets and starts dating teenager Gretchen Fritz, who's the daughter of a prominent Tucson heart surgeon and a community leader. So here's the thing. Smitty didn't just torment the women he dated. So he sent a letter to the health department stating that Gretchen had a venereal disease. Then he sent letters to her parents, who already didn't approve of the relationship and didn't want them to have anything to do with each other. But he detailed how Gretchen was sneaking around to see him. Ugh. I'm like, it's one thing to do that. It's one thing to date someone whose parents don't want you to. Parents of a minor, I might add. It's another thing to just fucking throw it in their face. There may have been...
I call that evidence.
Yeah, there may have been physical abuse. Oh, there was no need. But they were dating, and they were fiercely possessive of each other.
Uh-huh.
And apparently there were some scenes where she showed up at his parties. That was not a good scene. So fall of 1965, right around the time when his parents declared bankruptcy, he starts telling friends that he was going to kill Gretchen. Wake the fuck up. Why did you not take him seriously? On August 16th of 1965, Gretchen and her younger sister Wendy, who I think was 13, go to a drive-in movie, and that's the last they're seen. They never come home again. When questioned by the police, Smitty tells them he thinks the girls ran away to Mexico. In reality, he had strangled them both in his home, then dumped the bodies in the desert.
Okay.
When I say dump the bodies, I mean just fucking dump the bodies.
Just kicked him out of the car as he was moving. And
So he bragged to his friend Richard Bruns, which is sort of like Burns, but it's Bruns. So if I say Burns, I apologize because in my head, I keep saying it. So Smitty brags to his friend Richard about killing the sisters. And he takes him out to the desert where the bodies are lying in the open to help him bury them. So the men bury the two sisters and return to town. In the meantime, the car is found. The girl's car is found. Gretchen's car is found. And in the car is a business card from the upholstery business that Smitty was trying to start. I mean, a month. He worked hard at having a business for a month. And the car wasn't found far from his home. So this is, what did I say? August 16th. Okay. August 16th.
Okay.
September 9th. Smitty meets Diane Lynch, age 15, on a blind date. So, I actually put a note in here. Can we stop and ask ourselves what kind of fuckwit is setting up an accused murderer in his early 20s with a 15-year-old girl?
I've told you before that I was the friend that all of my asshole friends dragged around so that their boyfriend of their age,
yes,
and they would drag me along as the second, and it was always some older dude. It was their older brother or their older friend or whatever, and that was always who I got hooked up with, and they were always into me. I mean, so they were in their 20s and stuff.
Yeah,
so there are lots of fuckwits. Hello, friends. There are lots of fuckwits like that. It's not like they told me ahead of time.
But none of the guys, I hope, were accused of murder.
I don't know. Some of them were pretty shady. If I remembered their names, I'd look them up.
So I'm just like, really? This guy has women everywhere. He doesn't need to be set up on a blind date. Mm-hmm. So that was September 9th he met her. You know what he did on October 24th? He married her.
Oh,
no.
Not what I was expecting.
He married this one. Mm-hmm. After this, Bruns becomes afraid that Smitty is going to murder his girlfriend now. So apparently he's getting a little out of control. Bruns runs away to Ohio, where his grandparents live, and he's staying with his grandparents. One night, after too many drinks, he confesses everything that Smitty told him, and his grandparents, bless their hearts, convinced him, fly the fuck back to Tucson and tell the police what you know. So I don't know if he called the police or the FBI, but he called law enforcement and goes back, and he is able to lead the police straight to those two bodies. Because that's a big thing. People say, I'll take you right to the body, and then they get out in the desert and go, oh, fuck, it was around here somewhere. Or they actually have no idea. On November 10th of 1965, Smitty, who at this point has been married for 17 days, is picked up on suspicion of murder. I do want to say that a reference back to those first two people, John Saunders and Mary French, they were picked up a few days later and tried as accessories.
Oh, good.
So Saunders got life in prison, and Mary got 4 to 5 years. I'm glad you can't all see the look on my face right now. It's disgusted.
You know, she was an innocent girl, and you can't hold it against her because girls aren't murdery.
Yeah, we know better. Give them a hatchet, and they'll go right the fuck to town.
It's true.
So the trial was a media sensation. Smitty was profiled by a journalist named Don Moser for a 1966 issue of Life magazine. He's the basis for a Joyce Carol Oates story, Where Are You Going? Where Have You Been?
Yes.
Time magazine runs an article. Playboy sent a reporter to cover it. It was huge around the world. Celebrity defense attorney F. Lee Bailey was flown in. I read a couple of different takes on this. Basically, it was so open and shut that he got there and he just turned around and left again because it was so open. And I want to say they took 2 hours to convict him.
Wow.
On the other hand, I also read by someone who's not an F. Lee Bailey fan that he flew in, looked at this, said, there's no way I can win this, and I'm not going to take the case because I can't win it. So, where was I? He was barely there, turned around and left. Smitty admitted killing the sisters. And later he takes the police to Aleen's grave, and so he was convicted of that murder as well. He's convicted and sentenced to death. So you've got appeals, you've got postponements for one thing and the other. Diane divorces him in July of 1966. And my question is, what took her so long? Why? Yeah. I'm like, really? 10 minutes in, I would, as soon as
out.
He's out. So we roll on down the road. Roll on down to 1971. Arizona temporarily abolishes the death penalty. So he's on death row, but now they can't kill him. So this is just for me out of left field. 1974, he officially changes his name to Paul David Ashley.
Okay, why?
There's so many questions that don't get answered. Like, why is he darkening his skin? Why is he changing his name? Oh, so many things. Between 67 and 74, 1967 and 1974, he tries to escape prison 3 times, and he briefly succeeded once. So then I found a quote on November 11th, 1972. Schmidt escaped from prison in the company of triple murderer Raymond Hudgens.
Jeez.
What the fuck? The fugitives held 4 hostages at a ranch near Tempe, then split up and were both recaptured within days.
Oh, good.
On March 20th of 1975, Schmidt was attacked by 2 fellow inmates and received upwards of 20 stab wounds. Lost an eye and a kidney.
Guess he wasn't that charismatic in prison.
He was not. He walked around acting like he was better than everybody.
Yep.
Got a little
right.
pushback on that. Mm-hmm. He died 10 days later at the age of 32. Apparently, his body was stolen from the morgue, but the police got it back. And his mother had him buried in the prison cemetery because she felt like if it was a public cemetery, it would be defaced. And she did not want that. So that is just there's just so many weird little bits and pieces to this.
Yeah.
I mean,
he should have been studied.
He should have been, because he didn't have, and they're on Murderpedia, if you find the right pages, it has all these characteristics of serial killers. Did he wet the bed? Did he kill animals? Did he set fires? He did none of those.
Again, though, it turns out that's mostly bullshit for me.
Yes.
So.
Yes. And he was a bored, spoiled kid.
Yeah.
And he wanted to know, hey, I wonder what it feels like to kill somebody. And I think wondering what it would be like to kill someone specific who's bothering you is not unusual, but just thinking, I wonder what it would be like to kill someone. That's just not, no. And I wonder, I get away with everything else. I wonder if I can get away with it.
I can see if you have no emotional attachment to any of that, if you don't have that innate sense of right and wrong versus knowing societally this is right and wrong, right? Then I can completely see that logic on that point. Obviously, I wouldn't say that's great logic, but I'm saying I can see that logic if you are a sociopath, if you don't have that. Anyway, on Where Are You Going and Where Have You Been? I haven't gotten to read the story yet. I think I found the collection it's in, so I have that, but I just haven't read it yet. But there's a movie based on it.
With Laura Dern.
Yeah, and it is freaky. Oh, it's
I can't remember. Treat Williams.
Yes. So it's a good freaky movie. I just randomly found that on Prime at one point a couple years ago, I think, and it was good.
I have not watched it, so
it's creepy.
Well, it would be.
Yeah,
it would be. And then there are other books have been written about him. And there is another movie, but I can't remember what it's called because it was late and I was done. But that is the Pied Piper of Tucson, and what a I gotta post the pictures of this guy because he's one weird dude. So
So
what you got?
Okay, I'm doing the Bullseye killer.
Ooh.
Sources, heavy.com, grunge.com, murderpedia, Wikipedia, news.com.au. There was really not much on Wikipedia by the time I got to it, but I cited it anyway because I think I pulled one fact from it. So,
We should just give a blanket. One of our sources is always going to be Wikipedia because
I've totally done something without Wikipedia.
I don't think I have, because even if I don't use everything I get out of Wikipedia, it points me in a direction.
It's often organized in such a way that it's easier to start there and then fill in all the details in between.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, on December 20th, I kind of bounce around with this one. On December 22nd, 1985, in Pembrokeshire, Wales, a 56-year-old woman, Helen Thomas, and her 58-year-old brother, Richard Thomas, were shot and killed when they disturbed a burglary in progress. The house was then set on fire to make sure no evidence was left behind. And Richard Thomas was well off. It was a 3-story farmhouse, and I saw a picture of it. It's like nice stone, because it's in Wales, and lovely. But he had quite a bit of money. On June 29th, 1989, a couple on vacation from Oxfordshire, England, was robbed and shot on a path. Gwenda and Peter Dixon, 52 and 51, were found July 5th, still bound and covered with foliage on a walking path along the coast. Gwenda had been sexually assaulted before she was shot, and her shorts were missing. Their debit card was used to get cash from several ATMs, and her wedding ring was sold for £25. Both these murders netted only a small amount for the murderer. From the ATMs, he got a total of £350. So these people died for very little.
Yeah.
They would be referred to as the Pembrokeshire murders or the coastal murders. A police sketch was made from the grainy footage and circulated, with the police asking for help identifying the man. The sketch was referred to as the Wild Man sketch because he had crazy curly hair.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Where did they get the photos from?
ATM.
The ATM. Okay. I was like, wait, there would be no photos on the path where they were killed.
No.
Sorry.
It was around the ATM.
That makes perfect sense.
A story was done on him by Crime Watch. I mean, they were putting it everywhere trying to find people because this was not a high crime town. So, interestingly, there was a movie made fairly recently, but it was on ITV, which I think is either just in Wales or is a European or something. And Luke Evans is in it, who is also a Hollywood actor, but he was born in this area, so he knew the town, and he plays a cop in it, an investigator.
Oh, wow.
But this is totally an aside. I didn't have it written in here. But I thought it was interesting because he was like, yeah, for us, these murders happening there was crazy. I mean, that's no crime happened there. It wasn't like that. In 1996, a group of 15 and 16-year-olds was playing in a field. A man confronted them wearing a balaclava and holding a sawed-off shotgun. He made them all lie face down on the ground, took one of the girls and raped her, and took another girl, she was 16, took another girl who was 15 and sexually assaulted her. He also had a knife that he had held on them when he was doing this, because it was a shotgun. You can't really rape somebody holding the shotgun, really, but one of them he pulled across the ground by her hair. It was violent, and he basically told everybody if they got up, they would die. He shot the shotgun in the air. I mean, he terrified this group. I think there were 5. Many burglaries, robberies, and home invasions were being committed in this small area at the time, and all of these crimes, including the murders, involved a sawed-off shotgun and a balaclava. The crimes were escalating from burglaries to home invasions, where the perpetrator entered the house intentionally while there were people inside. In 1997, a man broke into a woman's home in the same area as the other crimes. Holding a sawed-off shotgun on her, he tied her up and proceeded to rob her. She actually managed to get free and get to help, ultimately leading to his arrest in 1998 for the burglaries in the area. That man was John Cooper, and a search of his home turned up identified jewelry and other items, including picture frames with the victim's photos still in them.
Oh, God.
He was charged and convicted for 30 total robberies and burglaries. The police felt he was responsible for the murders, but they had no compelling evidence to pursue the charges, leaving those murders unsolved. He was given 16 years in prison for the burglaries. Now, we're going to jump back in time. In May of 1989, and just to remind people that the murders were in 1985 December and June 1989. A man named John Cooper appeared on a game show called Bullseye. And it was an ITV game show. We wouldn't be familiar with it. He talked about scuba diving along the coast of Pembrokeshire. He said he had a strange hobby and didn't elucidate, but he didn't make it far in the show. He couldn't answer the general trivia questions, and he missed part of it was throwing a dart at targets, and he missed all 3 times that he had. So while talking about his love of the coast, he described the exact area where the Dixons would be found a few weeks later. And he mentioned he was intimately familiar with the area, all this good stuff. However, it would be 20 years before the footage of the game show was pulled up while Cooper was being investigated for the murders. Investigator Steve Wilkins keyed into the description of the exact path and area where the Dixons were found, which helped back up the suspicion, that was a hard word to say, that he was the killer. Struggle. Even better, having the visual on the man 20 years previous allowed the investigator to match his appearance. They got him their stills, and I'm going to try and post them, but they're stills of the police sketch because it's kind of at a side angle, and then him on the game show at the exact time, same hair, same facial hair. So they were like, oh shit, that's him. It was a really good police sketch, so I will post that too. So they were able to match his appearance to the Wildman sketch. And on the original footage at the ATM, Cooper was wearing a woman's khaki shorts. The missing shorts.
Yes.
From poor Mrs. Dixon. John Cooper was born September 3rd, 1944 in Milford Haven, Pembrokeshire, Wales. When he was 15, he left school and started working odd jobs. Between the ages of 17 and 21, he was charged with theft of a vehicle. This is a quote, assaulting a police officer, being drunk and disorderly, and assault occasioning actual bodily harm. That's from Wikipedia. Because I could have just rearranged them, but fuck it. In 1946... At age 22, he married Patricia, and they had Adrian, now Andrew, and Teresa. He worked as a welder at an oil refinery for years, but in 1978, he won £90,000, which articles said would have been the equivalent of about £500,000 now. So he won a significant amount of money in a competition, as well as a new car, so he quit his job. Of that money, he gave £10,000 to relatives, and then he got sucked into gambling and betting on horses. He also started drinking heavily and moving the family repeatedly, costing them money because they would sell the houses or whatever so fast. So they didn't make any money on even the real estate, so he's just losing them. He's just putting them in a bad position. With him losing all his winnings and drinking too much to retain a job, he started committing burglaries. He also worked as a farm laborer during this time and interacted with Richard Thomas, one of those first victims, both doing work for him and buying hay from him for other jobs. Because Richard Thomas, though he was a millionaire, he got that way from being a farmer.
From hard work.
That's right. Remember that... Oh, I just said that part. Don't remember it. It's thought... See, I jump ahead of myself all the time.
I do that.
It's thought that Helen, who was killed first after being sexually assaulted, recognized his voice when she found him robbing their home, which is why she had to be killed. Richard arrived after she'd been killed, but while Cooper was still in the house, which meant he had to die too. Though he burned the house, as previously mentioned, police did find pellets from his sawed-off shotgun in the walls. So they knew what had happened, were able to match that up with the bodies. Following the Thomas murders, he was interviewed, but his family alibied him, so he was released as a suspect. Why might they have done that? Well, John Cooper was an awful man, aside from what I've already said. During this time, he was abusing his wife and children. His son, Andrew, would end up testifying at Swansea Crown Court against his own father, who, when initially accused of those murders, already having been convicted of the burglaries, sicked the police on his son and said he was the one who'd committed the murders.
Oh my God.
This followed years of beating his son, throwing him against walls, and even when he was 11, aiming a gun at him and pulling the trigger. But it was empty. There were no statements from his daughter. So I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't know if she supported him, and didn't, or just, At one point, the children had some chicks they were raising, and John Cooper blasted them with a shotgun in front of his kids. Killed the chicks in front of them. Andrew was not his son's original name, as I mentioned before briefly. John had named his son Adrian, so he'd have to fight people just like in Johnny Cash's song, A Boy Named Sue, which he loved. During his testimony in court, Andrew would reveal that he'd often seen his father heading out on long walks at night with a sawed-off shotgun hidden under his coat. He had also seen him burn things in a bonfire, including jewelry, and had noticed his dad had pictures of strangers he'd look at. So we're caught back up to where we left off. Okay, so I gave you the background on Cooper. Cooper was serving his 16 years in prison for burglary and robbery when police started eyeing him for the murders. A group called Operation Ottawa had been put together in 2006 to start reviewing cold cases and that sort of thing, using advancements in forensic science. And the murders back in the 80s and 90s came back up. Because he was committing crimes for at least 2 decades.
Wow.
Cooper's wife had provided requested evidence to the police before her death in 2009. This evidence included the aforementioned khaki shorts. DNA testing found the DNA of the Dixons' daughter in the seam of the shorts, providing proof that he'd kept the shorts as a trophy. The daughter was in Cyprus and nowhere near Pembrokeshire. Again, they were on vacation when they were there. They were not from Wales either.
Right.
They were from England. To have interacted with Cooper in any way. Interestingly, the only reason this DNA was preserved was because Cooper's wife had shortened and hemmed those shorts. She'd modified them to fit him. And the DNA was trapped inside the new hem. So when it got washed, it didn't get that out. And so that police detective that had been looking into it, he actually had them, because of the ATM footage, like tear apart the hem because it was obviously been modified, and they found the DNA of the daughter.
Oh my God.
His shotgun had already been found in the ground before. It was buried in a plastic tube 2 feet down in the earth. A forensic investigation turned up blood that would be tested and found to be that of the Dixons below back. It had been painted over. There was black paint over it. And so this same cop, he was like, I carefully removed the paint, see if there's anything under it, because he'd painted the whole muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And there was blood underneath that they were able to test. So, like, I mentioned this because this cop, they wouldn't have found this DNA had he not made these requests.
Wow.
It was hidden. He was thorough.
He was very thorough.
And considering this is a small town with low crime, I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I hope he got a raise.
Right? Probably not. Cold case cops.
No.
Yeah. There was also a sock that had been found in hedges near the house, along with other items, and they turned out to belong to Richard Thomas. He'd stolen a sock, so I assume he put something in it and used it to carry something, maybe? Like, that's all I could think of. Well, I'm going to keep this sock. Or maybe it was his trophy. Also in this evidence was a balaclava Cooper was wearing during some of his crimes. In January 2009, Cooper was released from jail only to be rearrested May 13th and charged with 2 sets of murders and the assault on the teenagers, which they'd connected. God. It's vital to note here, I want to make a point, that when he was arrested, he had already started gambling again, and in his trunk or his boot, he had rope, gloves, and a map in the trunk. He was going to start again.
Oh my God.
Yep, absolutely. This is not a man he enjoyed this.
No. Yes, he did.
And again, they said his takes on the burglaries were negligible. So he wasn't actually using it to support them, even though they say that's when he started, as when he was running out of money. He was doing it because it was fun. He wasn't getting into... He didn't get into a safe, say, at the millionaire's house. He didn't get any extra money from this man. He did get money from the ATM because he told him, give me your pen or I'll kill you. And then he killed him anyway.
Yeah.
So the trial lasted 8 weeks, with his conviction coming on May 26, 2011. He was 66 years old at the time. He was given 4 life sentences for the violent crimes, which he's still serving. His appeals have failed. They don't get as many. So by 2012, his appeals were out.
Good.
Yep. Police actually believe he was responsible for other killings, so I'm going to review those really quickly.
Okay.
In 1989, 72-year-old Flo Evans was found dead in her bathtub, fully clothed. Bathtub was half full of water. Her family said not only did she not take baths versus showers, but the fire had not been set in the kitchen, so that meant that there would have been no hot water. So that was how it was all heated, so it would have been cold water in the tub. In addition, her front door was locked when they arrived, but she never locked her door. She didn't believe in locking her door. And she had reported about a week or so before that her keys were missing. John Cooper and his wife knew her and visited her regularly, and Cooper was known to have been at her house that day. Money, weapons, and other items were missing, yet her death was ruled an accident. So they weren't able to reinvestigate that because it was an accident, and they didn't reopen it. In 1993, 64-year-old Harry Tews and 67-year-old Mary Tews, a couple, were killed with a shotgun dumped in a cowshed and covered with a carpet. Police did re-examine this case while looking into Cooper, but were unable to find evidence to prove he'd done it, but it matched his MO of hiding the bodies like he had with the Dixons. Both these incidents occurred after his known murders. However, another crime is suspected to be traceable to him. It occurred in December 1976. 73-year-old Griff Thomas and 70-year-old Patty Thomas were found dead. She had been bludgeoned to death in the head, and he had been burned. It was initially thought to be a murder, but then they changed it to murder-suicide, saying Griff had bludgeoned her, then set himself on fire. However, no blunt instrument was found near them, and it is unknown what was used to kill her. So he bludgeoned her, went for a walk and threw it, and then set himself on fire.
No.
Also, as with others, there was evidence of burglary, including an empty cash box, broken bureau, and an unlocked back door. But they couldn't tell what had been stolen or anything like that. So again, murder-suicide. Forensic psychologist Dr. Clive Sims told the BBC that he felt that serial killers typically start killing earlier than their 40s, which is when the first, usually it's in their mid-20s-ish.
Yeah.
Which is when the first proven murder occurred. For him, he was in his 40s, and he felt Cooper was responsible for this murder, and it was a product of a botched burglary. He was not given the moniker Bullseye Killer, by the way, until he was charged with the murders, and that was a reference to the show that he was on.
Okay.
So before that, it was just the, coastal murders and Pembrokeshire
Right.
murders that I mentioned before. So that is the Bullseye Killer. I hadn't actually heard of him before. I kind of happened across him before when I did Rodney Alcala, who was on The Dating Game.
Yes.
And so I had him on my list, and I was like, I'm going to look into this, because it's not in America, so at least it's different. There we go. We both did serial killers today. How was that?
Well, I was like, I've been doing too much mayhem. I need to get something more gruesome.
And we did some pretty gentle ones, too, in a row. So we did, kind of mayhem-y.
Yes.
Or very historical in the last two. And we also did not think of a question in advance.
I did.
Did you?
Because this will come out on October 20th.
Okay.
So it's getting near Halloween. So I want to know what everyone's favorite Halloween candy is. Because pretty much every Halloween candy is my favorite.
Yeah, even the ones people hate where they're all, ew, candy corns. And I'm like, I can eat a couple candy corns.
I can eat a couple, but really that's it. I can't eat a handful.
No.
Unless you mix candy corn equally with peanuts, salted peanuts.
Oh.
That is fucking delightful.
Sounds good.
That
Yeah,
is
I
really
always
good.
like to nibble it. So I do
Yes.
the white part first, and then I eat the red part. All right. So you can answer that question on our Facebook page, where it will be posted on the day this is aired. And go ahead and write us at mysterysponsorsmayhem@gmail.com if you've got any stories you want to send in or any questions, comments, etc. You can also use the form on our website, mysteriesmonstersmayhem.com, if you have stuff that you want to send us that way instead of having to remember our email address.
And we are on Facebook, so like and share.
Participate. Geez, Instagram too. It's where we post our images. And please, in general, rate, and share us on wherever you listen to our podcast.
Yes.
And review, because that does help pop it up so that other people discover us. And
I was going to make the question, what's your beauty regime?
oh no.
Regimen.
Don't do it. Because I don't care. Sorry. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to us. And we'll talk to you next time.
Yes. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.